What an awkward soliloquy that he had. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mum called me from downstairs. Keiichi, you have a call. It's from Sonozaki-san. Sonozaki? Was it from Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She had something that she wanted to tell me today. Ochi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight. Hello? Is that you, Shion? Hello. Ran into a bit of trouble today, didn't we? You said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the only one who let me there and ran. Don't say that. I gave you the signal to run away with me, didn't I? You just sat there looking dazed, Kei-chan. I wasn't dazed. All of a sudden you let me there, and after that I had to put up with that Oshi guy for ages. Don't complain to me about it. I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this different. I got a little irritated at myself when I realised I was somewhere in my mind hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person. Yay, we're finally able to tell the difference. Sorry. Next time I'll run away first thing and leave you there. Hey, it's ladies first. Ha 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 ha. Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realised that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be... Anyway, you had something to tell me, right? Then that trail of thought, are we? Oh yeah. I mean, if you already know, then it's not something that bears repeating. Do you know already? Do you already know? Shion lowered her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know. Sorry, but I have no clue what you're talking about. At least give me a hint. That means you don't know. You seem to take my stupid sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest. Actually, it's about last night during the Watanagashi festival. My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing? Hello? Kei-chan, are you listening? Yeah, I am. What about last night? The four of us went in there, right? Though she didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it didn't happen. Then after that, we walked away together, and then we went our separate ways near the stone stairs, right? Takano-san and Tomitake-san went to the stream and you stayed there, Kei-chan. I went over to see some relatives. Yeah? Why do you ask? We won't make any progress if we keep asking each other questions. So let me ask you this question first, okay? You mean, did I see Tomitake-san and Takano-san last night? Huh? Oh, yeah. Did you see the two of them after that? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell's going on? Why? Why are you asking me that? No, Kei-chan, I'm asking the question. Please answer me. Did you, Shion? If you answer first, then I'll answer. My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt. After everything that had happened today, Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth without response, she finally answered me. Of course, I didn't see them. My relatives were with me, and they can vouch for that. I didn't see them either. People can vouch for me too, like Mion, Rena, and everyone else. Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else. Thanks for answering me so honestly. Okay, then I'll tell you. That they're both gone? Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. Sorry, Shion? What was that you just said? Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. Takano-san was found burnt to death. Tomitake-san was, well, looks like a suicide. I found out this morning. I heard my dad talking to a relative on the phone about it. Late last night, a police car on its way back from festival security duty had discovered Tomitake-san lying in the middle of the road heading towards Okinomiya. He had clawed out his throat and died. But what? He clawed out his own throat? That bright, cheerful Tomitake-san committed suicide? That can't be possible. The police did an autopsy. He did it with his own fingernails. He scratched at his own throat so hard that he ruptured his blood vessels and bled out. He died in a pool of his own blood. That's what they said. Never heard of such an insane suicide. You can't just scratch open your own throat like that. I realised I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran to my own room. Sorry for yelling. So, was Takano-san, was that suicide too? In her case, it's a little unclear, but she did get burned. Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of the Gifu Prefecture. Employees at the rest stop nearby reported to see the police late that night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burnt corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after there was a request for a dental comparison from the XX Prefecture Police Station in Okinomiya, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely that it have been a homicide, since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere to be found in the area. The oil drum had fallen over, so it's possible she burnt herself to death. It couldn't be possible to have been suicide. If you're going to die, there are plenty of easier ways, aren't there? This can't be suicide. That's what I think. It's unthinkable that Tomitake-san would kill himself too. After the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. As we calmed our nerves, right then, I understood what Shion's story actually meant. I think it will end up being Oyashiro-sama's curse. We all did more than enough to deserve it after all. Deserve? You've got to be kidding. It's not like Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come off me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me, I could have just put my foot down. I lost to my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault and no one else's. Shion. Last night, when we snuck into the ritual storehouse, did you predict things would turn out this way? Of course not. I mean, I thought it was pretty risky, but I never even dreamed of something like this could ever happen. Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she'd get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me. Besides that, Kei-chan, I think about it for a moment. Didn't Oyashiro-sama's curse turn out a little strange this year? was already plenty strange seeing as how Tomitaki-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger? I mean, that they found 2 corpses. Remember what I said? Every other year, one person would die and one person would disappear. This year, it's the first time 2 people have been found dead. That may be true, but that's not a huge deal, is it? It is, Kei-chan. Think about it harder. Listen, if 2 people died because of Yashiro-sama's curse, in order to quell Yashiro-sama's anger, 2 people would need to be sacrificed. Is that how it works? So what? Tomitaki-san and Takano-san died, so now 2 people are going to go missing this year? I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze. I don't think anyone's been confirmed missing yet. I think that's just that those 2 people... I think that those 2 people have yet to disappear. Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back. 2 people have yet to disappear? Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart. Cold hands feeling on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomitaki-san opened the lock, and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse, and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them. None other than us. No, this has got to be a joke. I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomitaki-san and Takano-san had died in a common way like a car accident, I could tell myself that it was coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat, and she burned to death, drowned in oil, in the mountains. The 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, it must be someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away. In the first place, it's not even in the newspapers, is it? Such a monstrous incident would be all over the newspapers and television. Magazine writers would flood the village too, thinking it would make an interesting story. Of course it's not going to get reported by the media. That's how it was in the past too. When the incidents occurred for the 3rd year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran full gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would not develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked into the media. I hear the elders and top brass from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police. Then you mean the deaths are going to be dealt with in total secrecy? That's how it is. Of course, the police are investigating it. That's being performed in secret too, though. So I hear the investigation itself is very restricted in what it can and can't do. You could essentially say they're interfering with a police investigation. This story was unbelievable. People died and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret. If we break it down further, It means that no matter who dies on the night of Watanagashi, it won't go public. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard. K-chan, before I said how the villagers could be the ones carrying out Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's what I meant. That's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Hinamizawa, where every night you're allowed to kill someone on the night of the Watanagashi, under the guise of it being Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's not a good tradition to have. Seriously. When someone dies on the night of the Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret. That's insane. Dead and missing people turn up every year. However bad the stigma gets, the police have to draw the line somewhere, don't they? You say the incidents happening every year is mysterious, but the police can get the job done when they need to. After all, the incidents always get resolved individually. It doesn't end up being a string of incidents, you know? It just so happens that something unfortunate happens on the night of the Watanagashi every year. That's all it turns into. Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get away and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was in essence resolved. The damned supported couple who died in the accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, or they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, a priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't a homicide, that it was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the damn-supported couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while imprisoned, so the incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of these incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved. So why does an unfortunate coincidence occur every year on the night of the Watanagashi? You can try and say it's a string of related incidents, but they're not related. Yet every year, someone always dies and someone always disappears. The story Takano-san told me on the day before during the setup. Now that the curse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off. Then, does that mean it will come for us too? Just like how one person dies and one disappears every year? Are you saying we'll be taken along with Tomitake-san and Takano-san and raised too? My lips had at some point become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me. Sure, we went somewhere we shouldn't have, but we were just looking, right? We didn't steal anything or take anything out, and we didn't tell anyone that we looked right. I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, it was really so bad. Was it really so bad that Tomitake-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths? Besides, I didn't care about anything I saw in there at all. Takano-san was the only one getting so happy over it, wasn't she? Takano-san was the only one at fault. I don't have anything to do with this. I am not interested, I'm not involved, I don't give a shit about what was in there. And you saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore. I didn't have any interest in any of this from the start, damn it. All I wanted to do was watch Rika-chan's performance. You were the one who pulled me away from that, weren't you, Shion? I don't give a rat's ass whether those two were trying to steal something or try to meet up secretly or whatever. That's right, you're the one who made me go in there in the first place, Shion. You're all caged and you need to see what's inside, and you convinced me and then pulled me in. Why the hell do you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you gonna do, damn it? How are you going to take responsibility for this? Huh? Hey, are you listening? Ah! Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of a receiver being slammed down. Ian was just as terrified as I was. I had just said some really self-centered things. My riled up emotions disappeared, as if they never existed, and in their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I tried to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine out like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okinomiya. I didn't know her phone number, since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night. I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand and simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion, calm down and call me again. Hello, this is Maibara. I swept up the receiver as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at the exact moment. Is this the Maibara residence? Excuse me for the late call. I'm Kimiyoshi. Is this the head of the household? It was the voice of a middle-aged man. All my hopes rushed out of me. No, it isn't. If you need my dad, I'll go call him. I went to put the receiver back down, but the man stopped me hurriedly. Oh no, if he's busy then it's fine. This may be a strange question, but is my old man paying you a visit? No, nobody's here at the moment. I see. Again, I apologize for calling you so late at night. Goodbye. Clack. I don't know who that was, but if Shion tried to call me while I was talking to him, I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are the selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought of Shion. I'd given up hope in the short time since we had our conversation. I didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night.